Hello and welcome to this demonstration of Off-Highway Research's new online database services. Across the International Database Service, Chinese Database Service and Indian Database Service, we cover 19 countries in total and up to 16 products in total, depending on the country. Each database includes sales and production figures by manufacturer, and in this video I'm also going to show you how to use that information to create population estimates. The historic data in each system goes back to at least 2002 and in some cases back to 1980s. So you can see this is a unique analytical tool for OEMs, component manufacturers and many other types of company with a professional interest in the industry, finance companies, insurance companies, the investment community, auction houses and traders and so on. And before we get started, a quick word on methodology. Off-Highway Research compiles its data by personal face-to-face interviews with dealers and OEMs in every product group and every country that we provide information on, and that adds up to thousands of personal interviews every year. And before we get started, here's a quick word about coverage. This is a list of the core product types covered by all three database services, the International, Chinese and Indian Database Service. And in addition to these, there are extra products included in the Indian and Chinese services, namely compaction equipment and mobile cranes. In terms of the country coverage, the International Database Service covers Western Europe, North America and Japan, while the Chinese and Indian Database Services do what they say on the tin. And before we get started properly, a quick word about how these database products link together. It's a very useful feature that if you subscribe to two or more of our database products, you can quickly toggle between them in this pull down menu. Here you can see I've started out in the international database screen, and to switch to say the Chinese database, all I have to do is click here and go down to the Chinese section. And here we are in the Chinese database, and you can quickly change back to the international or go across the Indian database if you're a subscriber. In this section I'm going to look at how to log into the database systems and get started. The first thing to do is go to our website www.offhighway.co.uk, and in the top left of the screen you'll see a button for our Internet Access Service, so click on that. Your username and password will have been emailed to you, and you've seen because I've entered mine already, I've gone straight in. In this screen you'll see all the subscriptions that you have with Off-Highway Research, and you can access them by clicking on them. I'm going to go into the International Database Service, and everything I'm going to demonstrate on this could equally apply to the Chinese and Indian Database Service, and you've already seen how easy it is to switch between the three products. So just click on that, and here you have a choice between our new online system or the previous system you may be familiar with, which was a downloadable .exe file. The advantage of the online system is it's a simple cloud-based system. You can access it as long as you've got an internet connection, and this gets around the problem that some clients had with the .exe system, in that company computer policies didn't allow them to download and install software. Having said that, the PC download is still very useful if you're in a situation where you need to work on the data offline or you can't get access to the internet for some reason. You simply download that when you do have a connection, and away you go. You can work on it at any time on your computer. So simply click on Online Access, enter your username and password, and you're in. So this is the kind of thing you'll be greeted with when you log into one of our database products. For demonstration purposes I'm going to use historic data here, but of course current subscribers will see sales and production figures up to and including 2015, as well as our sales forecast out to 2020. A word about sales here. When Off-Highway Research talks about sales, we always mean retail sales, so that's machines delivered by a dealer to an end user. So you may see some variance between our numbers and statistics from other sources which may talk about wholesales or other measures. Another point to make that sometimes causes a little bit of variance is just issues of definition. Other statistics may cover wider or narrower horsepower bands than we do, and obviously that's going to affect the numbers that you get out at the end. And finally, a word about the data itself. The information in our databases is constantly being updated as we perform face-to-face interviews and gather more market intelligence. And there are major new releases of forecasts every March and August, which you get as part of your subscription. So let's get down to business and look at the basic functions in this system. A nice feature is that you can click on any column heading to sort by it. The default is to sort by company name A to Z. And you can also click on a column heading to reverse that. So if you clicked on company here, you'd get a Z to A search. Or you could click on a year and search from high to low in terms of the sales. So let's go back to where we were. The default view is to look at countries in header 1 and products in header 2, but you can change that in these areas, and I'll come on to that later in the advanced functions. In our international database, you're looking at more than one country, and you can select which one you look at, or Europe as a region, from this pull-down menu. Next to that you have two symbols, an arrow for summary and sigma for group summary. If you click on the arrow, what you get is summary for your selected product, in this case crawler excavators, by country, again with that year view. So that gives you the crawler excavator market size by country across the range of years that you're displaying. And you just click that again to turn it off and go back to where you are. If you click on the sigma for group summary, you would get sales by manufacturer across all countries for your selected product, crawler excavator. So obviously that gives you a different view, a more manufacturer-centric view rather than a market-centric view in this case. And again, click again to turn it off. In header 2, you can choose a different product from the drop-down, and we've already run through a list of the machinery that we cover. And sigma, the group summary, would give you a summary in your selected country or region across all products. And again, click that to switch it back to your original view. The default view is to look at sales figures, which is generally of most interest to OEMs, but you can quickly toggle across to production, and that's something which is of course very interesting to component manufacturers. And as I've mentioned before, it's very easy to toggle between the different databases here. Two other very useful functions in this system. This percentage symbol here adds a market share percentage against every figure that you view. So that's a very useful function. Just give it a click and we'll sort that to clear it up. So there, in addition to market volumes, you get market shares. And click again to turn it off. This sigma here is to add a row total. And you may initially wonder what this is for. Well, this is a very, very useful way of estimating populations of machines. So let's just say, for the sake of argument, that the life of a crawler excavator is 7 years. So if you clicked on the row total, you would get here in this column an estimate of the population based on a machine life of 7 years. And later I'll show you in the filters function how you can change the years that you look at and therefore make different forecasts or models of machine population. Like any other column, you can click on this, and of course it's totaled up at the bottom, and you can also add percentages as I've just showed you. So that is a very, very powerful tool, and it's of particular interest to companies that operate in the aftermarket. It's very useful for them to have good data on the population of machines, and obviously in this case by manufacturer, as well as the overall market size. Before I move on to some of the more advanced functions of what you can do with this system, I'm just going to say a quick word about exporting data. As you've already seen, this is a very, very powerful and very flexible tool, and you're probably already seeing many of the possibilities of what you can do with it when you consider how many countries we cover and how many different product groups. but that's always in this database environment. So one thing that people find very useful is the ability to export data, and there are two ways you can do this. The first and most straightforward one is with this button here, which downloads the table to Excel, and this basically downloads your current view into the spreadsheet. I'll just click that to demonstrate it, and let's just open it straight away. You see very quickly it downloads, and there you have essentially a copy of what you've just seen in the database system in Excel. So that's a very, very useful function, because what it enables you to do is configure a search in here. As you've seen, that's a very quick thing to do. Export it to Excel, and then you can incorporate this data into any other analytical tool that you have in your company, or any other sources of data or market intelligence. So it becomes a very, very powerful and very quick and easy way of bringing the information that we supply into your in-house systems and making them work the way you need them to. The other way you can export data is with this button, which downloads the entire database to Excel. So that's regardless of whatever you've looked up here and whatever your current view is. This downloads the entire database to Excel as a delimited flat file. And I'm just going to show you what that looks like now. Let's open that up. So what you get is tens of thousands of rows of data in this Excel format. Now, if you're not familiar with this, you may be wondering what that's for, but what that allows you to do is build a pivot table within Excel. And if you're familiar with that, you'll know it's a very, very powerful analytical tool. I'm not going to go into great detail about pivot tables in this video. It's just to highlight the fact that we have that available if that is your preferred way of analysing data. So now I'm going to look at some of the more advanced things that you can do in our database environment, and their functions, which are controlled by these boxes on the right hand side. First of all, let's look at filters, which really do what they say. You click on the filter button and you can choose which countries you look at, which products you look at, also which companies you look at, as well as selecting a date range. And in the international database, you can go back to the 1980s, as well as forward to 2020, which is our current 5-year forecast range. So for the purposes of this demonstration, let's say we'll look at Germany and Italy. For products, let's look at crawler excavators, mini excavators and wheeled excavators, so the whole excavator market. We won't choose specific companies, but I think you're beginning to understand what you could do. You could look at specific players in the market, and let's stick to the date range that we have. So we'll apply that filter. So the default view you get when that filter kicks in is to look at one country, one product and sales information. But as you'll have gathered from what I've said previously, it's very quick and easy to change that. Here in the header 1 box, you can switch between the countries you've selected, and of course you can choose more than 2, but in this case let's just switch to Italy. You can click the summary arrow to get a country-centric view of the market, or the group summary button to get a manufacturer-centric view. As I said, that was initially just with crawler excavators, but we selected 3 products, so let's look at them all. Group summary, and that's all those excavator products that we've selected. And let's do group summary to get Italy and Germany together by manufacturer. So there you see you've very quickly got a view of sales in those 2 key European countries. Once you've done that, or at any point, you can click across to look at the production figures and look at the active manufacturers in those 3 product groups in those 2 countries. And as before, you can add percentages to look at market shares. You can add row totals to look at populations, and click on column headings to sort them. So you see how very quickly there I've built quite a sophisticated analysis of a number of countries, a number of products. I can switch between sales and production as I wish. So you see what a powerful and flexible tool this is for finding out very, very specific things about the markets where we provide data. So now I'm going to talk about how you can change these headers to look at the data in different ways. In the international database there are 2 headers because we're dealing with multiple countries. In the Chinese and Indian databases you're only dealing with 1 country at a time, so that variable is removed and there's only 1 header to change. So the initial default view is to look at countries in header 1 and products in header 2. But what you could do, for example, is change header 1 to years and view the data in a different way. That gives you a choice of year in the pull down, and the grid that you see is a list of companies down here and a list of countries across the top, and as previous examples we're looking at crawler excavators. So you can see that's just a different way of manipulating the data to get a different kind of view on the market. So another way to use this system is if you change header 1 to company and just pull out anyone from the list that's appropriate to the products you're looking at, and there you get an overview of their sales by country across the range of years that you're looking at. And of course you can enhance what you do with this by using the filters that I've just demonstrated. So you could look at multiple companies here in header 1, you could choose a different range of years, you could look at a range of products here and start to build a very, very comprehensive and absolutely bespoke analysis to your needs. And the other important thing to say is that as you whiz through this, at any stage you can export the current view to Excel, so you can start getting the data out of the system and building it into other analytical tools or saving it for later use and analysis. One final function in this right-hand panel is that you have the ability to swap around the columns and rows. So that's a very useful function, again just to manipulate the data and look at it in a different way. I should also say that in the international database there are 2 headers that you can change, header 1 and header 2, so you can come up with all sorts of different sorts, but you may well find that it's simpler just to change 1 header and swap the columns and rows to achieve the same effect. Really, this whole system is about you getting used to it, having a play with it, and making it work for you and your needs. I've focused quite heavily on the international database there, but everything I've shown you equally applies to the Chinese and Indian databases. In fact, they're slightly simpler because they're single country products, so there's less to manipulate in the header side of things. But I hope I've also demonstrated how flexible these systems are. As well as being very, very powerful standalone tools in their own right, you can export at any time to Excel and start to bring the data that we provide into other analytical tools that you may have in-house. If you'd like details of how to subscribe to our database products, please visit our website www.offhighway.co.uk. And if you're a current subscriber and you need support, please feel free to contact us directly. Our email address is mail@offhighway.co.uk, but in addition to this you'll find contact information on the website of our various offices around the world. Elsewhere on our website you can see full details of all the services which Off-Highway Research offers. That includes our 3 database products which I've been demonstrating today, our full European, Chinese and Indian services, the Global Volume and Value Service, our multi-client studies looking at key countries, as well as our private client research work. You can click on any of these buttons to see a full outline of what is offered in each service. You can download brochures, including brochures on our database services, and each brochure includes an order form should you wish to buy. And you can also buy online at our e-commerce store, which is accessible through the website, but if you want to go straight to it, it's www.offhighway-store.com, and there you can purchase any of our services, including our database services. Thank you very much for watching.